Okay, so I'm using, or I used, Symplicity Craft doll clothes, number 5733, and I made my first F skirt and G jacket in jeans, and this would be what it looks like. So on the pattern it shows you it's a 1/4 inch seam allowance. I made my first jacket and had to make another one because it was so huge on her. So measure your doll, because every doll is stuffed differently. This one is still pretty big. I've got the buttons to put back on. Turned out pretty neat from recycled pants. But I feel like the shoulders are too thick. And when it came to this piece and the instructions on how to assemble it was very difficult for me to understand. As I'm a quilter, I am not a seamstress. So this is the pattern piece right here. And to understand the directions, I was really confused. So I'm going to make another jacket. I'm going to make it a little bit more than 1/2 inch seam allowance. So it's a tighter fit for her. And I had some of this, I don't even know what this is, for the bottom of shoes. And I have lots of it, so I'm going to make a nice little dress jacket. So stay tuned. Okay, at a time. Okay, so I got my machine set up to where I want my seam allowance. And this is just to show you these little parts here, not what I'm sewing. So if you've got this pattern, you're going to need pieces number 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16 is your sleeves. So you're going to take your piece 11, the one that looks like this, and you're going to take your piece where's the number on that? There we go. You're going to take piece 15 and set it aside. You're going to take your, this would be the front piece. They tell you to make your pocket first. And there's 2 ways you can do that. But I would like to show you how to do this. The collar, that is so difficult for myself. And it's actually really simple once you get to know what you're doing. So there's your back piece. You're going to sew your pocket on first, which I'm not going to show you right now. You want to stitch your shoulder seam, and the funky part is in the middle. And then you're going to take your other one and do the same thing to the inside. Okay, so now with those shoulder seams sewn, it also stated to do a stay stitch. So I did 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. It's got to be smaller than your seam allowance all around the neck collar. And I did that after so that the seams are held open. And that's going to prevent your fabric from stretching. Now some fabric will fray, so you may want to use pinking shears. But this is the pocket. And it tells you to fold the good sides together. Then it tells you to stitch all the way around and leave a small opening, turn it, and I'm like, how is that ever going to happen? So I cheat. I'm going to cut probably 1/4 of an inch off the pocket, So you get one flat edge. That's not quite flat. Straight edge. So it was like this. Get rid of that. Now, I make it easier by using glue. My nice fabric glue. So you're going to be folding down the top of your pocket to about, okay, don't quite get rid of it yet. So you're going to put that part that you cut off here, and then you're going to fold this piece to match that line, approximately. So maybe half an inch you're going to fold it down. Now you can get rid of it. And you're going to push it down and let glue dry. Now, you may wish to take a pen or a pencil, which I do not have with me. This one doesn't like the glue. And then you're going to fold 1/4 of an inch up from here and glue, 1/4 of an inch glue, then take the sides and do the same thing. Okay, so this fabric did not like this glue. So I use my quilting basting spray. Oh, there's my lid. So this is what you're going to get. The edges are turned, the top is turned down, and your corners for a nice point, and then your edges. And you don't want, so when you look at it, it's got a nice pocket. And the only reason why is because I found it difficult to sew and turn it inside out because it was it was just tricky, and my sewing and stitching is not perfect. So you're going to find your pocket, and you can do 1 or 2 of these pockets. Find your pattern. Oh, where's the pattern? Here it is. I usually mark it with pins if my cat hasn't eaten them. He likes to nibble the tops off of these things. I fold back. You'll see your line. Okay, so I ran out of time, so I'm just going to go quickly through this. So you mark your corners for the pocket, and then you're going to follow the directions on stitching this around. Pin it into place and stitch, and you have a nice formed pocket. Okay, so then you're going to take your 2 collar pieces like the directions state, good size together, and you're going to stitch the short end all the way to the long end and all the way around the short end. You're going to clip your corners, and you're going to turn them right side out. So now if you can press your fabric, if you know it's not going to melt on you, you can do that, or you can finger press it. Go ahead and use an accent color or a matching color, and go about 1/8 of an inch along the edge. If you have a double needle, you can do 2 stitches in one. If you don't want any accent stitching, just leave it as is. Okay, so now it states to take your collar that you've sewn onto your right side and place the right side. So you want to find the center of your collar if you've cut your notches, and then you find the center of here and you pin along this whole piece. And you can gently, with 1/8 of an inch, tack it down with a stitch. Okay, so now this is where the funk begins. This is where the confusion for me was. Your piece 15 is called your back facing. You got these little pieces here in the front of your jacket. You want to take that so it creates a round curve. You're going to sew that piece across there, and then you're going to sew the other end to the other side, right there. So now you're going to have this. So the smaller curve is on the inside of your facing, piece 15, and your bigger edge will be on the outside, and you've stitched them to your funky little long piece, which is right here. And you've already got your collar piece tacked on to the back and a little bit to the sides. So then it tells you to take these pieces and you're going to match the center of this collar facing to this center. Pin it, and you'll notice that this will turn in, which is fine. You'll have the piece here, and you're going to sew your whatever stitch you've quarter inch, half-inch stitch, and it will gently catch the edge of this collar. So again, lay your piece out so it's face up, good side. Take your facing and the front of your jacket, match it up with your collar, back center to the back facing. Make sure these edges are pulled out and pointed. You're going to go over top of your collar piece and make sure that gets caught in there. And you're only going to sew along that edge. Okay, so now I've stitched that on, and I'm just turning it right side out and getting that corner. So when you lay the back down of your jacket, you got the shoulder seams, you'll see where the front comes out. You've got your collar, and you've got your facing. That's going to be on the inside of the jacket. And then when it's on your doll, you can finish the side seams and your sleeves the way the instructions tell you to, but that's the facing. The jacket will lay down like this. That's that little pointed piece that came out. It gives you that extra collar. And when you've tacked it, when you've sewn the rest of your jacket, this will be tacked inside this piece. So it'll have a nice finished edge. And if your fabric frays, make sure you use pinking shears. So that's what the collar will be like. With your facing, come on now, work with me. You're facing on your doll, so you'd have a nice finished collar. It's not going to have the ugly looking frayed edges. Hope that helps. And you can also use it for your house coat if it doesn't have a hood. And I'm sure it's helpful for a lot of other jackets with that funky little piece right here. The trick is you're going to sew the facing, remember that's the fold, sew that to here so that you can attach it to your collar. Thank you for watching.